Alright, does everything sound fine? Is anything off or my voice weird? Let me know in the chat. Thank you. I'm just doing some sound tests, my voice, to make sure everything sounds fine, to make sure nothing crazy's going on, you know, so I know that my sound, my microphone is working properly. Alright, cool, thank you. We should be live in, well, we're already live. We should be good to go with Tutorial Tuesday in about 5 minutes, maybe a bit less. So, I'll see you then. Alright, guys, let's get this started. So, awesome. So tonight is I'm doing Inspect the Statues, and Seduce. Those are my topics for tonight. I grouped them into one night, not unlike last time, because last time they were both hard tells. You know, you see them or you don't, theoretically. Well, this time they're both soft tells, so they're both kind of hard to see in general as sniper, which is why there might be a little less sniper content than I'd like tonight, which I apologize for, but there's only so much you can really look for, and I'm going to go into a bit of that, but I'm not going to go too far, because there's only so much you can realistically look for without going outside the realm of plausibility, because the sniper need to be looking for a lot of stuff all at once. So I don't expect everybody to just see it all and then only focus on this one thing, this teeny tiny microscopic detail that might win you the game if you notice it, but then you're missing out on, you know, bugs and microfilms and banana breads and all that jazz. So, let's see. Let's just jump into Spy Party. And let's just, we're gonna start with Inspect, not Seduce. So this is what Inspect looks like. That's it, literally. That is it. That's all it is. Nothing special going on here. Now I'm gonna actually inspect, but you just cycle through the statue looking animation. That's it. Nothing crazy. No wacky stuff going down. It is just that. That's all Inspect is. Now, isn't that insane? Alright, so let's actually practice Inspect. Let's go to ballroom. I'm down. I have a drink. Yeah, man. Now, AIs only go when they have one drink left. At least to my understanding. I hope that's right. And, they can only inspect statues that they, oops, swap. That's not the mission I'm covering. They can only inspect statues they're either holding or that no one's holding with like a one statue radius of them. So I'm inspecting the one on my right here because it turned blue, which the sniper does not see. And that one's green because I swapped it on accident. Ignore that. Once again, the sniper can't see that. And then I green tested the inspect, so it turns blue. You can see in the upper left, right below my green swap statue, there are 2 of the 3 squares marked in with inspect. That means I've done those 2. So you have to do one more inspect. It is possible to get all 3 done on this map with one trip. And what you can do, clear all missions, and then you go, what? Inspect. And then you go, what? Inspect. Look at that green test, man. That's what you gotta practice. And white test, sure, why not? And then look, I have all them done, just in one trip. It's a little suspicious on this map to go in the middle, but it's not the worst. So that's how you inspect. I think that should cover all of the things about Inspect. But I think that should, you know, that just covers the bulk of it. So now the way snipers see Inspect is but they don't. I mean, they do. There are ways to see Inspect, but they're very incredibly minor. One of them is that like I mentioned when I went through statues on my swap video, they wait a certain amount of time. So if you see somebody do this, that's probably the spy just because how fast they picked it up. But then you notice I pick it up, and now I'm holding it in the middle. That's the animation. Sorry, I hold it up to the top. That's one animation cycle. And then I should be doing another one soon, because that's the idle one. I mean, you can hold it there. And then you hold it up, and now AIs will only ever do this twice. If they do it 3 times, that's a human. So there, I'd get shot for that. Now, it's very hard to notice. I mean, let's be fair, how often do you count the animation cycle somebody's doing? But now that you know that, that might be important. So, as Sniper, you don't see the colors change. And there's not really a huge reason to try and watch for Inspect. Thus far, at least as far as we are currently in kind of the metagame territory, the best reason to consider Inspect is missions done. When you think the spy is far but maybe not done, don't forget about Inspect, man. I've probably lost quite a few games, I don't remember, where they BB'd, they like bugged, and they microfilmed, and I saw them, and they only do 4 missions, and then I forgot about Inspect and just lost. Because that is a mission. It's just really hard to see. Inspect and Swap are usually grouped together because they're the statue missions, but I wouldn't necessarily say that they're similar. I mean, one of them's easy to see, one of them's incredibly hard to see, if possible at all. There's no hard tell for Inspect. Now, of course, if somebody does that in the middle of the animation, they cut it off, that's a human. AIs don't do that. They just... Now, I suppose there are a few ways that could happen, which I will go over... I'll go over one here, and then I'll go over one for Seduce. Because if you notice, the ambassador from last time, from my bug, has the creep meter, or, you know, that's one way to put it. Basically, the Amba does not like people around him or her. So, if you're at statues and ambassadors at statues, or anyone, the ambassador will stop mid-movement. And the other exception is the seduction target, which I'll go into more after this, because that's more of a seduce deal. But it is good to note that as sniper, you might just want to highlight for it. Maybe somebody picked up the statue and tried to flirt, got a red test, and then their seduction target just leaves. And of course, if you try to walk away with the statue, you get the clank. Don't do that, you'll die. I mean, I think I've lost like 1 game when a clank occurred, and I was the sniper. 1 game total ever. Ever. So, that's important to know. Now, I feel like I haven't said much about Inspect. I mean, I've explained the mission, I've gone over what you can and can't do, but that's because, honestly, it's not that big a mission. Yeah, it is a badass taunt. I mean, it's important, but as a sniper, the thing I think most about Inspect is that it's a time sink. It's a good time sink for the spy. I'm not saying by any means that it's what I want them doing. I'd rather them not do missions at all, because I'm the sniper. I don't want them to do anything. But if there's one way I could ask for somebody to start the game, it's to do the safest mission, because as a sniper, that gives me my bearings. It says, alright, these are what the statues are. Look, 3, 1, 2, as we went over in the swap statue, and that one is 2, 1, 2. If we're going by numbers. I don't actually memorize by numbers, but most people do, and I think it's the easiest way for me to generally show people. And then by the time I'm done with my inspects, the sniper has his bearings and he's ready for my mission. And that's why as a sniper, I don't mind if somebody starts out with inspect. It's just a time dump. It's an effective time dump. It gets them done with their missions and makes them feel like they've done stuff. But it's probably not the first thing a spy should do it. Now, I'm not saying as a spy, don't do that. You can, sure, man. If you think that's the best way to go, if you think anywhere else is going to hurt you more than it's going to help you, go ahead. But at least question why you would run to inspect. At least consider that. Let's see. Is there anything else I'm missing here? Is there anything else that I'm worried about? Oh yeah, I have not mentioned that. That's important. Some maps, like this one, right, require you to inspect 3 statues. And that's awesome. That's fine. Some maps, if you have not jumped out of ballroom play, or at least not often, require, oh geez, Courtyard 1, require 2 inspects. And the is just because I have a minor personal disdain for I'm not doing songs tonight. There is no song request going on. If you try to request songs, nothing will happen. Anyway, and so I inspect. Yeah, hold on. That's good. I neglected to mention that. And so some maps just have 2 inspects. It's good to know. And some maps have 3. It's just kind of dependent on the map. There's very few situations where that's important. So, let's see. Yeah. So let's go back to ballroom because, well, a good point was made up in the chat that I kind of blanked on. Sorry, a lot to go over. I swear I'm trying. I swear. So, on ballroom. Ballroom is a good example of this. Don't want to drink. So, if you think someone's inspecting as sniper, it's important to note that they can't do all their inspects if they're here or here, and that sounds obvious. I think that sounds kind of silly to physically say out loud, to say, alright, they can't do their inspects. But if you're worried someone's inspecting, and you know they went to the middle statue, then you might want to be a little more worried if they head back to statue. They're probably not inspecting, so maybe they're probably gonna do a swap or something. Now, if you're watching them, then nothing happens. That's fine too. I would say inspect is a mission you're watching for only when you're already suspicious of somebody. You shouldn't be preliminarily, I think that's a word, watching from like middle statue inspects. I guess that's a little suspicious, but AIs go to middle, I think, just as often as the other two. Maybe there's a slight bias towards the side because there's more. I don't know, but I can't imagine it's too big. And then the other one is, your inspects will actually go faster if you green test the first inspect, because if you pick up a statue and white test, the rest kind of goes slow and clumsily. But if you get a green test, the rest inspect faster, because the more you inspect in a given go, the faster it all goes. So let's see. Oh, it's not if you green test it, it's just the more you inspect, the faster it goes? Wow, okay. But that's interesting. So apparently I was wrong. I'm happy. People in the chat, I appreciate you. So, when you are inspecting more than one, the more you inspect in a row, the faster they all go, regardless if it's red, green, or white. But green on the first test is what you want to be aiming for. Even if you white the rest, it'll all go a little faster. Yeah, so let's just get through white in a row and just kind of show you guys what it's like. Ignored. Very slow. I'm not a big fan of it. Ignored. That one does. Yeah, that one is faster. And ignored. Just, I don't want to. Yeah, that is much faster. So I've already gone over how you can only do 2 animation cycles, or you'll probably get shot. I mean, I've done that against real games, but it's still not ideal. Please don't do it. And if you see someone going to middle statues, maybe highlight them. Maybe. I'm not saying it's the biggest tell. I'm not saying it's even a huge tell, but with inspect, it's tough. There's not really many hard things you can stare at and just say, all right, this is just a red test on inspect. It's just like an incredibly slow inspect. Like, look at this. It just drudges along. It just takes forever. What I think interesting is it seems to make your actual... No, it doesn't make your animation slower. Yeah, I think, 3 in a row is faster. Yeah, I'll do that. And this is just a lot of playing around with inspect. It's actually rather interesting to see, because there's a lot more space as a spy to play with it, like when to actually inspect, than as a sniper. There's not much sniper play to be had with inspect, and for that I kind of apologize. Wow, that almost looks like a white test. 2 inspects equal 2 cycles regardless of what. That's interesting. So, yeah, pretty slow. So don't get red test. That's the basic lesson there. Yeah, the only way to in the middle get, I think the red is 4 cycles, yeah. And the only way to go through 2 animation cycles with inspecting them all is to, I'm pretty sure, to green at least the first one in the middle, and then I think white tests are allowed for the other 2. And this is just spy stuff. I kind of apologize for the fact that I can't go too into it. Here we go. Yeah, and greening the first one is the most important. And then look, 2 animation cycles, I put it down, I'm good. And that's why green tests are important to get. So, let's get out of here, because I feel like I've taught everything I can about hard inspection. I just want to... Let's see. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, 2 whites, but I'm talking about 3 inspects in 2 cycles, which is greens. So let's head on over here for a bit. So as you can see, inspect isn't the most interesting of missions. I'll be honest here. It, I mean, it's important to do. It's important to know about because as a spy, we're all gonna have to deal with it. We're all gonna have to use it on courtyard 2, on balcony. I'm kidding. On veranda, on ballroom, and that's just kind of how it works. But inspect does get interesting. At least I would say at a bit higher levels of play. Um, with known 3 soft, which is known 3 missions where you do inspect, seduce, and contact a double agent. When you do that kind of mission, which is a little higher up, I wouldn't jump into it if you're newer. Um, and the idea is the sniper's only looking for these soft tells. Games like that are where inspect actually becomes a relevant mission, in my opinion, especially on veranda. Then it almost makes inspect impossible, which is why known 3 hard is, I would argue, the more fair one on veranda. And although you have 3 hard tells that you can see as a sniper, the spy's a much easier time because you can't just camp statues. It's just kind of how it works. Um, let's see. So there's just not too much room for inspect though. I tried to look up and drudge up some other information, um, but there isn't the most out there. And I do apologize if this stream is a bit shorter than maybe you guys want it to be, or maybe than I want it to be honest. But that's just kind of how it works. And I think I might just jump right into seduce here because I mean I think I've said everything I can about inspect. There's just not that much there. That doesn't make it a bad mission. It's just a rather straightforward, simple, just this is how this works mission. And because of that, I feel like there's just not too much to look for. So I'm gonna let me check out this time right here. Alright, so I'm gonna go on break for 3 minutes on the dot. So if you want to get a drink, go to the bathroom, what have you, please do so. I'm just gonna toss up Spy Party here. And so go to Seduce. That's what we're gonna be talking about. So 3 minutes. 3 minutes starting now. Alright, that should be 3 minutes. I think I counted right. As you can see me spinning this fella. Let's head over to my screen though. Let's see. So, we talked about Inspect, and it's not the most interesting of missions, let's be honest here. I mean, there's something to talk about, which I did, but there's not too much. It doesn't go that in depth. Seduce is a little different. There's a bit more to talk about, and I'm gonna jump on over to Spy Party. I'm gonna show you in the practice how it's done, and then I'm gonna go in a little more than just that. So, boom. All right, let's head right over here. Yes, I would love to go to the practice menu. All right, let's add 1,000,000,000 hours with Shift M, and then let's just hey look, my setup. Now you can seduce right here. I'm gonna talk about this exact situation later, but for now, that's when you're touching circles and you get a white test, you get 34%. Let me just say that. It says 34% right now, let me see my screen. And that's nice. You can get as high as 51%. If you green test, like right on top of it. Which hopefully I'll do here. Now, there's a bit of a bug right now. Good. Nope. Oh, are you really gonna... You just... it would translate over here. So, Seduce is interesting because a lot of new players don't understand one vital key part of Seduce. It's not that you have to talk. It's not that you have to be with them in a pad or something. It's that proximity matters. Flirting from here can get me as high as 51, or I can red test. But right next to them is ideal. That's where you want to be, just like in real life. Yeah, my seduction luck is terrible. But flirting from over here, even with a green test, gets me 25%, because I'm on the exact opposite end of the conversation circle. It's just terrible. No, that's not what you want to do. And you can't re-flirt until you leave the CC, the game knows that, and then you walk up, and then you come back in. And then I do a normal one, I get 34%, because that's just the standard. Ideally, yeah, that is also true. Right now there's a bit of a glitch that makes it so it doesn't say 51%, but you can go from 49% to 50 to 100% with 2 flirts right now. It's a little complex to go and do. So, what a green flirt. What a green flirt, man. Ugh, it's terrible. Now, this is a great reason to practice action tests. I was doing awesome earlier on Inspect. Just doing terrible here. But the point is, there we go, 50%. That was probably 51, I'm pretty close, but who knows. And the lowest amount that somebody can flirt and finish is 2. They just go up, they green, they go up, they green. You can also flirt at windows. Oh, well, these little pads over here, I call them windows. You can flirt at bookcase, you can flirt at the paintings, and heck, you can even flirt at statues. It's great. And what's cool is sometimes your seduction target, or ST, will walk up next to you, you pick up the statue, and then you're like, I'll flirt, and then I'll inspect, because they're right next to me, so I can't inspect twice, and it's just great. It's great. You're multitasking, you do your missions, you kind of avoid suspicion, etc. Look at that. I was definitely 50. Boom. Alright, so let's reset that. Now, anyone can be your seduction target, it doesn't matter. That red triangle is all that matters. That is it. You can flirt while you're holding a briefcase, you can flirt while you're holding a book, you can flirt while Toby's offering you a drink, and holding a statue. You can flirt whenever. That's important. Generally, I would say, if you're in a conversation with your seduction target, no matter how far away they are, no matter, like, if they walk in after you and you were already in this position, I would still flirt. Every little flirt matters. I've seen, you know, people win or lose games by 1% flirt. So, there's no reason, in my opinion, not to, unless you have a better plan, like the ambassador walks by and you decide it's a good time to bug. Then, maybe not so much, but past that, generally I would say it's always a good idea to just flirt. Why not? What could happen? Sometimes they'll walk out on you too, because they're evil. solid 50 right there. And I would say those are the important bits of the basic mission here. The basic mission. Now, yeah, I mentioned you can flirt while reading a book or holding anything. Don't worry. I went into the Dr. Seuss rhyme. I will flirt with the book. I will flirt with the hook. I will flirt at the statues. I will flirt at the matches. Oh, that was bad. Anyway, and as sniper, you may be wondering how you can tell who is flirting with who. How you can tell what's going on. Whatever. Uh, and I'm not Dr. No, I'm not Dr. Seuss. But I can hopefully help people understand one of the very few ways to look out for people flirting. And once again, I want to stress the fact that this is not some catch-all, be-all. This is how you find them. This is how it works. No, that is not how this works. Let me just pop over here. In fact, I might just go over here. I don't need that background noise. So, there is a method as sniper to look out for flirting, but it's not something you just kind of you're vigilant about, I suppose. It's something you keep in the back of your head when you already have a few suspects. It's not something you just kind of go, oh, well, it must be them because I've seen them paired once or twice. It's I suspect this guy, so I'm gonna watch who he talks to. I suspect this guy or this girl because I think that they're talking with these people. And this upcoming video, this one's pre-recorded because I wanted to make it a little more specific. I didn't want to have the randomness of the party just ruining me, so I pre-did this video, and hopefully it helps. And I'm going to go through my thought process as I pause and play it, and hopefully this will make sense. So, alright, so here's a video, and right now I have a few highlights. I have 4 highlights down here, right? I have orange dress, I have red tie, I have white danger, and I have Mr. Bondo. And I have some low lights, I have some neutral lights, whatever. I like to highlight the ambassador. We went over that last time. And there's no sound, so none of that. But basically, I'm looking at people who are together in a conversation. Now, they're pretty far, so I don't really suspect them too much, and neither of them's a highlight. But as I go through this video, and everybody just hops on that conversation, jeez. But you want to try and remember groups and pairs that are together. There's a few too many in that conversation to realistically remember, but over here, you can remember the 2 Danger Brothers. Here, let's probably get a better angle in a second. There we go. And you can remember the whites, kind of. And that's one way. It's called pairing. The player named Virifau, I think is how I want to say his name. Virifaux, if you want to be annoying. I think is the one who devised this method. Maybe not. It doesn't matter. And Virifaux, there we go. And the basic idea is you pair people up in your head as sniper, and you try to keep your eyes on those people. Ideally, they're already highlighted, or one of them already is. And it's not that this makes them suspicious. It's that it will heighten or lower the amount of suspicion you have on them. That's the basic idea. So let's kind of keep watching here. So you remember there's 2 dangers together. You can go like white and blue, and then you can go whites. That's a possible way. Usually in pairs, or like with all 3 dangers, you could just say dangers. If you have a better way to memorize them, that's fine. That's perfectly acceptable. Nothing is So this one, you could kind of go like, there's hats. That's not a great flirt, and none of them are highlights, but it's still good to think about. And then you could go like, like danger hats or yellow hats. Anything works here. In fact, even over here, you notice these 3 at the bookshelf. One of those could have been a flirt, and that I would say you could pair those, like maybe like orange, white, blue, or black. That's a possibility. Like orange, danger, blue. Anything that works. It doesn't matter how stupid it sounds, because it's it's all in your head. I mean, sure, if you stream, I guess people will hear it, but honestly, it's more important that you're trying to remember them and that you're trying to focus on the tech. You don't need to do this. This is just a side thing I wanted to bring up. And there's just a good amount of it's a good time waster in a way. It's like if you don't know what to look for as sniper and you've already have some people who are suspicious, you can just quickly try and remember. You quickly try and go for who's with who. So if you notice, Yellow Danger went back to the other Danger and the other White. So he might be the spy. And that is rather interesting. So let's see. I would not by any means use this to generate highlights or anything like that, but I would use it to confirm those highlights, to consider, who's with who, why is he or she there, things like that. So now with Seduce, I mentioned with Inspect at least that there's really not a hard tell. With Seduce, there is arguably one hard tell. There's a single hard tell. And I'm going to show that right here because I think it's important. It has to do with timing, and it has to do with out-of-conversation seduction, which is done later in the video, if I recall. Let's see what's going on here. There's a lot of stuff going on here. So, trying to parse this out. So, right around here, our spy, which I will let you know is White Danger right here. No more secrets, that is the spy, is going to seduce at the bookcase. Now, if you will see a selection target, White Jacket, is going to walk over, pick up a book at normal speed. That's the speed you want to be picking up books at. I'm not going to go into that's next week's microfilm, but basically, there can be a delay in picking up statues or books or some such because you flirt. And I'm going to show you the delay with White Danger. So let's just check this out right here, because I think it's rather interesting. So he picks it up, it's a second or two. He flirts, and then he picks it up. And if you can pick up on that, you can shoot a spy for it. Now, I wouldn't rely on it. I wouldn't focus on it. No, this is not a real game mode. There's 5 minutes on the clock, and there were over 20 minutes earlier. No, not 20, like 15. And to give you another idea of how long it takes for a normal AI, I'm going to show you the ambassador walking over. Because the ambassador walks over, and this is just another example of how a normal AI picks stuff up. And that's a big part of it. Now, that's all part of Seduce, and you can seduce at, you can seduce at statues, you can seduce at bookcase, you can seduce in almost any situation, and as a sniper, keep in mind that if the spy red tests their seduce, the seduction target will walk away, and a lot of players can forget this. So it's important to note that if you see somebody pick up statues, drop it, and walk away, who's not the ambassador because of personal space violation, you might want to think about maybe that was a red test flirt. Maybe if somebody leaves a whole bunch of times, maybe the spy's trying to frame somebody, which goes into higher level play, but ideally we all get there, so it's something you should at least be considering. Let's see. That's important. So, my dearest friend, KCM brought up a point. I'm gonna go back to the video where I'm looking at pairs and just re-note some of that because I feel like what he said has some merit. And that is, wrong one. That is using shorthand memorization to remember the pairs. You give them unique and memorable names to group them. So his example up here is red flannel jacket with red dress would be Reds. Kind of just play this in the background. Snaps in general might be hats because they both wear rather dapper hats. And this last one would be blue dress, purple dress, snaps, and green dress with white dots is Lady Dot's hat. Now, that's his example, and I'm not gonna lie, pairing's not really my thing. I'm not saying I don't do it, I'm just saying I don't feel the most comfortable with it, and that's fine. We all do things where we're not comfortable with, that's how you get better at them. But it's it's a good method to at least try once in a while and see if it fits your playstyle. See if maybe it helps you out, maybe it's not your thing. That's fine. So and that's how pairing works. I think that was good to bring up. I feel like it was worth bringing up. It's a bit of a arguably higher level tactic. Um, that's apparently Veery remembers Buck Swaggle with women as harem. That is hilarious. Uh, so, let's go. So we went over Seduce. Goes to me. We went over Seduce. How you can 51%, when you can seduce, how much you can seduce, how you need to seduce at specific moments, and well, not specific. You need to seduce at a certain distance. That's what helps. You know, the closer you are, the better they are. And as Sniper, it's very hard to look for both Inspect and Seduce. Do not think that these missions are going to give the spy away. However, they may increase your suspicion to such a degree that you decide to shoot. And that's fine. That's kind of what I want here. I don't want you to start highlighting for the pairing method. I want you to increase or maybe even neutralize for this pairing method. If you pair two people together and they never talk again, maybe you might want to neutralize. Maybe that's not the spy. Maybe they got a really early seduce and finished it up and you're just pairing for nothing. You never know. And that's why pairing, it's a good time waster in a way. It's a good, waster is a bad word. It's negative. But it's a good use of your time as a sniper, whereas there's not really one of those for Inspect. Inspect is tough. And at generally normal playstyles with just normal missions, I wouldn't say it's a big deal. But for both of them, I would say they're missions you can look for and just think about while you're sniping to confirm who you're suspicious of and maybe decide to take a shot, or maybe decide to wait because you don't think they're doing those missions. And I would say those are the best uses of these lessons from tonight's Tutorial Tuesday. I think this one feels so much shorter than the other one. There was so much more meat to bug and swap. This one just, I mean, it didn't feel flimsy, but it felt like there was a lot less. But there's not much I can really do about that. So, I think that's actually it for tonight. I appreciate you guys joining me. Next week will be, oh, well, yeah, I already mentioned the red flirt skip animation at statues. I think that's fine. I mean, you can combine a lot of these methods to produce other tactics as spy, and that's awesome. I think that's what you should be doing as a player. But I want to give you the tools. I don't want to tell you what to do because I want you guys to think for yourselves. I'm just giving you the basics. Next week will be microfilm or U-film or what have you, and that should be rather interesting. I am excited and scared to do microfilm because, I mean, who does microfilm anyways? So why should I do a stream on it? But next week will be microfilm. That's what's going to happen. And I hope to see you guys then. Thank you for watching. I think I will see you guys next week. Or maybe tomorrow. I stream just about every night anyway. But for Tutorial Tuesday, that is it. Good night.